those who want to take a look at it later, you'll be able to do so as well. And GoToMeeting should work seamlessly with the Mac. So hopefully you'll be able to see and hear. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to start first. I know the very first place you guys go to when it's time to do research is where? You go to Google. So I want to show you some smart ways to use Google and not just randomly use Google. I want you to be very specific and strategic in your research when you're using Google. All right. So most of the time, students, you just start here. And this is the basic search. And this search is going to be taxing because you're going to get a whole bunch of hits if you use this search. There are two things I want you to take a look at. I want you to take a look at Google Scholars, and then we're going to look at Google's Advanced Search. All right, so we got Google Scholar, and we have Google Advanced Search. All right, so let me show you what that looks like. First, let's look at Google Advanced Search. Nope, not Google Speak Now. I want Google Advanced Search. All right. So this is what the interface looks like for Google Advanced Search. And let me tell you why I like Google's Advanced Search. Because you tell it what you want. You also tell it what site or domain you want to search in. So you can be very strategic and tell Google what you want and what kind of hits you want to retrieve. So when we talk about site or domain, I'm talking about, of course, these guys here, .edu, .org, .gov, .com, .net, and what have you. For social science and health sciences students, I always recommend .edu, which is education, and I always recommend .gov, because with edu and .gov, we're hoping that you're going to get unbiased research, that the data that you're going to get from .edu and .gov is going to be very holistic, and it's not going to have a bias slant. If you do .com or .org, sometimes those organizations may have a little bit of biasness in their data, and you don't want that. You want it to be as unbiased as you possibly can get it. So as you can see, I've had some searches here. So I was helping another student. I was interested in this. So I'm going to do this search, but before I do that, I actually want to make it lowercase. All right, so we have our topic. And for the sake of this search, we're just going to do .gov. And another thing I love about Google's Advanced Search, you can tell it what format. So if you select the drop down and you scroll down here, you can tell it what format. So let's just say I want to see what kind of PowerPoint slides maybe I can get with this topic. Hopefully I have it spelled right. All right, so let's see what we have. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. All right, so that didn't yield me much. So I'm not getting too much with the PowerPoints. Let's try this one that talks about blood dyscarcia. Okay, so let's take a look here. Nope. So let's go back. Let's take a look at PDFs. Let's see if I can find some hits with PDFs. And I may actually have it spelled wrong. That could be my problem. Let me take a look at the spelling here. So let's try this, because sometimes if you have it spelled incorrectly, that could hurt. All right, so let's see here. I'm still not coming up with what I want to come up with. Let's see, let's scroll down. We already saw that site. Not interested in web crawler. All right, so this is not yielding the results I want. All right, so let's do something because I want you to see some results. Let's try this topic. Let's do molecular diagnosis. I want to do .gov, and we'll stick with PDF. So I'm going to do an advanced search. All right, so I did PDF and I did .gov. And of course, these are some hits that I've gotten that talks about molecular diagnostic .gov PDFs. So you can tell Google pretty much what you want. You can put it in, be very specific, and tell Google what you want by putting in your searching parameters here. So let's say if we wanted to take a look at PowerPoints for this topic. So I'm going to see who in the research field has been kind enough to share their data with Google and allow Google to update it and upload it to their server so everybody can see it. And let's see what we have. Not a whole lot of PowerPoints. Some molecular diagnosis, but not a whole lot. But so you kind of get the gist. Now, if I did a very wide topic, let's do diabetes. We know we can get a ton of things on diabetes. If we did diabetes, I'm going to change it to .edu. Oops, let's get back here. I want to do diabetes, and I want to do .edu. I know we're going to get a ton of hits, and let's just do PDFs. Nope, I want to do PDF. Advanced search, and of course .edu, you can get a ton of hits because a lot of people are always sharing their data about diabetes. And we did PDF. So this is, like I said, this is a smart way to search Google. Instead of just basically doing the basic search, do an advanced search and tell Google what you want. Be very specific and tell it what you want, putting in your keywords, your site domains, and then also what type of hits you want, whether you want PowerPoint or PDF. So that is Google's advanced search. Now I want to show you Google Scholar. Google Scholar is Google's version of academic peer-reviewed articles. How many of you have used articles from Google Scholar before? And you can just type your response in the chat box, or you could just say, because I have your mics on.
I haven't
Any
used it at all.
Oh, okay, wow. So, take a look at it because you may actually find some really good content in Google Scholar and Google's advanced search. So let's take a look at Google Scholar. And let's say for my topic here, I'm going to do leukemia. Let's see if I can spell it. I'm an awful speller. All right, so let's take a look. We're just going to do leukemia. One of the nice things I do like about Google Scholar, you can minimize your years because, if I'm understanding, you can only go back, I'm going to make the assumption 5 years. Am I correct? So anything past right now 2010, your professors may not want you to use that data. So you can tell Google Scholar, okay, 2011 is as far back as I want to go. One of the nice things about Google Scholar, it does tell you how many times an article has been cited. This can be fairly useful because it tells you that people have been looking at this research and they have been using it for their research or citing it in their articles or what have you. Now, another thing, don't get turned off if you come across an article that has low cite. That means people have only cited it a low number of times. That does not mean that the article is not a solid article. It just means people haven't taken the time to read it and write and use it as a citation. So, but this is still a good indicator to let you know that, hey, people are really looking at this article. And then if you come across one, let's say this one has 50, don't not look at it or negate looking at it because it has a low citation number compared to 202. It's just that maybe this is good data, but people haven't taken the time to write about it and cite it. Now, one thing I do want to bring to your attention. One cool thing about Google is that it automatically picks up your IPO address. And what it will do, it will locate where you can get the article in close proximity to where you are. So if you notice, it says either I can get the article from nature.com or I can get full text here at WSSU because I'm on WSSU's campus right now. So if I select full text, then it will try to connect me to WSSU's servers and the databases, and then I can get the full text. That's because I am here on campus. Now, of course, if you were home, you would not get the WSSU. You would get a link probably in most instances, that's directly from the vendor. One other thing I want you to keep in mind, if you come across an article that you can't get the full text to, please don't ever buy an article. If you would email me the APA citation for that article, I will look and get it for you. Chances are I can probably find it. I'll do a little digging, but I can find it. Don't ever pay for an article because we have a plethora of resources available for you where you don't have to pay for it. So now if you take a look, if you would send me, I definitely want the title. And also if you could send me the DOI, this it stands for Digital Object Identifier. And what this is, as you see, it just popped up. And what this is, if I take this number and put it in a browser, this article is going to pop up. At least the abstract will pop up. So if you can't find an article, because look at this, they're telling you you want to rent it or buy it, it's for $9.99 or $4.99. Don't ever do that. Email me the pertinent citation, like you can send me this information here, because this tells me this is the journal, the volume, page number, this is the year, and this is the DOI. And if you could send me this or the APA citation, I'll look to get it for you, because please never pay for an article. So I did want to stress that. So that's the nice things about using Google Scholar and Google's advanced search. If you just want information and you have no idea which way you're going to go about a topic, take a look at it here. And then once you get an idea of what you want, then you come to the databases. And we're going to get to the databases in just a second. I did want to show you some other things in Google, and I do have a screencast in your LibGuide and the research guide in Blackboard, but I did want to show you how cool it is to use Google Docs, particularly if you have to work on group projects. So let me sign in to my Google account, and that way I want to try to show you what Google Docs looks like. All right. So let's see here. Let me get to Google Drive. And Google Drive is basically, I'm looking for this little icon. So this is Google Drive. And let's take a look at some things. Google Drive is a very cool tool to use because if you have to work on a group project, you can create your document in Google Drive. You can share it with everybody. And then after you share it, people can actually sign on, make changes. You can see the changes in real time. So basically, 3, 4, 5 people, 6, 7 people could be working on a paper at the same time and see other edits being made at the same time. All right, so let me show you what that looks like. All right, so if you come here, these are things you can actually upload a file, a folder. Google Docs is equivalent to Microsoft Word. Google Sheets is equivalent to Excel, and Google Slides is equivalent to PowerPoint. So let's say we have to create a Google slide. As you can see, if you look over to the right, it does give you templates just like Microsoft Word, and it works very well like Word. So let's say we're working on the project. I'm going to go ahead and select the slide. I have made the decision I'm going to start the presentation for everybody, and then when everybody get a chance in my group, then I would expect them to come and add their content. All right, so one of the cool things I want you to look at for those who have never used Google Drive, take a look at this while I type in it. So I'm going to change my untitled presentation. That's the first thing you want to do. I'm going to call it CLS presentation. All right, so this is my CLS presentation. And then I'm going to come here. All right, CLS presentation, I'm going to click here, group members, and I'm going to be, take my cap off, Megan, Melinda, Jerry, Rachel, and Alexis. All right. So I have added all that I am going to do. I have added my content. So now I'm ready for everybody else to add their content. So I'm just going to add some slides here. I'm going to say this is going to be Alexa's slide, right? This is going to be, okay, so I did Alexa's, where did it go? All right. It's going to be Alexa's slide. Oh, I see. All right, this is going to be Jerry's slide. All right, so we have Jerry. This one is going to be Megan's slide. All right, and then we're going to make this one Rachel's. All right, so these are all of the slides. And now I'm done. I have done my part as the project lead on this group presentation. So now I want to share this with you all so you can add your content to your slides. So what you do, you come to the share button. As you see right now, it's only private. You come to share. And I want to make sure that you guys can edit. Doesn't make sense for you to comment because you are collaborators on this project as well. I don't need you to view it. I need you to add your content. So I'm going to make sure Can Edit is highlighted. I'm going to get this shareable link. And as you can see, it popped up, my shareable link. You can put everybody's email addresses here, or you can just email this link to everybody. So I'm going to put this link in the box. Now, for those in the chat box, for those of you who have Google, go ahead, if you don't mind, click on this link, and I'd like for you to sign in and see if you can actually edit the PowerPoint. So I see a couple of people have signed in. Wonderful. So see the little items right here. So now go ahead and, if you can, find a slide and edit your content. So I'm going to play here and let's see if it would allow you to edit your content. And just type anywhere. That's one of the nice things about Google Docs. So I see you all are here. So now, are you able to type in your content? Any type of content? I see Jerry. So go ahead and see if you can type anything.
I'm only in view only.
Okay, so so for any of it, is it showing that you can actually edit? I'm going to come back to share. I have Can Edit. I want to get the shareable link. I know what I did, guys. I know what I did. Hold on. All right, so now try it now for me. So see if that works. I think I hit the wrong button. All right, so I do see some, there we go. So yeah, I hit the wrong button. So if you take a look on the left, you guys are all adding content. And see, I could be working in my part. I'm typing and you all are typing. So you see how cool that is with Google Docs, Google Drive, and this is the presentation. So you guys are all adding content. You're adding content and I'm adding content. So this is something you can use when you have to work on those group projects, and look at it. It saves everything in real time. It saves everything in real time. So I would recommend, and you all have Gmail accounts because you're participating, which is awesome. For your groups, I would recommend that everybody, if you're going to use this, to get a Gmail account, and you know it's free. It just makes life more easier when you have to work on these group presentations. So guys, thank you for that. Yeah, I had the wrong link. I wanted to make sure I get, and make sure if you're going to copy the link, make sure you do this one, because this is what tripped me up. This is if you want to email it. So I think it's better to just get the shareable link that you can edit, get this link, and then send it out to everybody. All right, so thank you for participating, but keep in mind, consider using Google Drive when you have to work on those group projects. All right, so any questions about that? All right, so I am going to, now we're going to get to the databases, but like I said, I'm going to log out. Consider using this because this is a really cool tool to use to help you with research. All right, guys, so thank you. I'm going to log out. Close out of this right quick. Now we are going to get to our databases. I'm going to actually go to Blackboard here. All right, so let me see if I can get to your class because I am embedded in Blackboard. I'm going to show you a couple of ways to access the resources for O'Kelly Library. And I want to say now this is, hold on for me because I want to make sure I get into your shell. So I just need to find, okay, biochemistry. That's what you guys are. You guys are biochemistry. Here we are. All right. Okay, so this is, let me turn that off. So this is what, of course, your Blackboard shell looks like, and you all have been working in Blackboard since school started, so you're familiar with it. And of course, the information I have with you is here, Librarian's Corner. This, now, what I just showed you in Google Drive, you can take a look here just to recap. It's a very short tutorial, and it'll walk you through everything again. And as you see, I have some other things here. So let's go back to this. I want you to take a look at the LibGuide. And this is the research guide that I have created to assist you with finding resources for your topics. Don't forget to take a look at the APA citation centers, and I'm going to show you this in detail a little bit later. But these are some tools to help you with your citing. We all know citing is a pain, but you have to know how to cite correctly, and you don't want to get points off citing because you didn't cite something correctly. So I have a large breadth of information about APA citing, APA, the articles, books, journals, videos. So take a look at some of these resources because I think this will definitely help you with the citing. And you know, when you have a well-written APA research paper, you have to include in-text citations. So that's why I also have examples of what it looks like in the reference side and what the in-text citation should look like in your actual paper. So let's get back to the databases. One of the databases that my favorite database I do love is Sanal. Now I need to make sure, okay, I got to double check my links. Hold on for me. Let me make this notation. I will fix this, guys. Something is going on with my links, so I need to take a look at this. So if you ever come across, if you're on the LibGuide, and if you come across something like this and your links don't work, I'm going to show you another way to actually access the resources. Let me just go to PubMed. Okay, so PubMed is fine. So I need to take a look at Sanal. All right, so let me show you another way to get to our resources. So if you actually come to the main page, excuse me, come over to Quick Links, scroll down to C.G. O'Kelly Library. And then if you scroll down again, I want you to take a look at the link here that says databases. Alphabetical list of the database titles. I'm looking for Sanal, and I'm going to hit C because I want Sanal complete. So I'm going to scroll down, find Sanal, and here it is, Sanal complete. And I'm going to hit the connect button so I can connect to Sanal complete. So you hit connect. Now, because I am on campus, it automatically migrates to the database interface. If you are, when you're at home, you should see something like this. Let me get my little son out the way. You should see something like this. So if you do, remember your username, of course, is your email address minus the @rams.wssu.edu. just whatever your email address is, and your password is your banner ID number. So remember that email address and password is your banner ID number. So this is what you will encounter when you're at home. Now, once you put in your WSSU credentials, you only have to do it one time. The databases and everything will pick up your home IPO address, and you won't have to keep continuously do it. All right, so here is one of my favorite databases. One of the reasons why I like EBSCO is because you can actually search multiple databases simultaneously with this database. So if you take your mouse, scroll over the little comment box, as you can see, a little synopsis will pop up to let you know, hey, what kind of information can I really get from this database? Academic Search Complete Premier is a really good database no matter what type of content you're looking up. All right, I would recommend Consumer Health Complete. And if you take a look, it's a pretty good database. It has some really good health-oriented content. So I think you may find that useful. I'm going to select, of course, the health databases. Don't forget about psych articles, because Psych Info and Psych Articles, they have some really good content that will assist you with your research. I think you can find some really good articles in both of these. All right, so I'm going to hit OK. I always recommend that you go to an advanced search page because this helps you to visualize your keywords better. All right, so guys, I need you to help me out. What is a hot topic that you're dealing with biochemistry or for your topics? What's a hot topic that we can search? Any suggestions? No suggestions? What do you guys think would be a hot topic for this class? No suggestions? All right. So was someone going to say something? I'm sorry. All right, no suggestions. All right, so let's take a look at, I don't want to do leukemia again. All right, so let's do blood clots. Let me make sure. All right, so let's do blood clots. Okay, so let's say we're doing a search on blood clots, but we want to focus on blood clots and women. So I have blood clots and women. And the reason why it's updating because the Medline database does its update that way. All right, so I got 1,800 hits for blood clots in women, but I don't want to look through all 1,800, right? So this is how you can shrink your searching. I want full text, so I'm going to select full text because that's what I want. I want full text. And I would like peer-reviewed. So let me explain what that means. Peer-reviewed means when an article is peer-reviewed, it has been vetted to meet academic standards. It went through a process in order to get published. So you can best believe that the content, the data, and the research in the article has been vetted properly, and what they are saying, actually their research process and everything, it's accurate. All right, and then now you see, look at our number. We're down, from 1,800 to 597. If you come over down here, we don't want data from 1990, right? So I'm just going to highlight this, and I'm going to say 210. So I'm going to type in 210, hit enter, and let's see how many hits we have now. We should have shrunk a little bit more, and we got to 229. All right, so I can deal with this. So I have 229 articles, so I'm just going to peruse a couple of them to get the kind of information I want. Now all you have to do is take your mouse, scroll over the little magnifying glass, and the abstract should pop up to let you know, okay, what is this article about? So you can read it and figure out, okay, I might be interested in this one. And when you come across an article, the best thing to do is to go ahead and hit the folder, the plus sign. That way you can email it, print it, or save it for later. So I'm just going to hit the plus sign, and as you can see, it was added to my folder. So I would like that one. I'm also interested in, let's say, this one. I want this one. And I think I might want this one as well. And let's do just one more. Let's take this one. Okay, so now I have some articles, and I think I'm okay for now for my search. So what I'm going to do is just scroll up. Now I'm actually going to go to my folder view because I want to retrieve these articles. I want to look at these articles at a later date. So I went to the folder view, and these are the articles that I added in my folder. I did 4. So now I want to hit the select button because I want to email these articles to my email. So what I'm going to do is come over to email, and I need to put these articles, I want to use my email to get them. So what I recommend you do when it says email to, make sure you use your WSSU email. And the reason being, there's going to be a permanent link that you're going to get, and the permanent link is connected with the proxy for your credentials in the email. If you don't use WSSU, and when you click on that permanent link, it may not open. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. You don't want to be frustrated. You've done all this research, and here you can't even view the content because of the link. So make sure you use your WSSU email. All right, subject, I'm going to put practice so I'll know what this is. Format, make sure it should be defaulted at rich text. Make sure it stays defaulted at rich text. You don't want it to be plain text because it turns it into HTML gibberish. All right, so now let's get to the citation format. This is the part that students absolutely love. So I'm going to select, of course, APA because that is your citation of choice, APA. So we're going to look at APA. Now I'm going to hit send. So you should get your email confirmation, and I still have my email on, so it should be popping up momentarily. So now that's from one database. That is how you can actually find an article, email it to yourself, and then go ahead and look at the content later. All right, so let's see. I'm not getting any confirmations. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Oh, here we go. I'm just too impatient. All right, so these are my confirmation. These are my emails. So this is just one database. Another database I want you to take a look at. I'm going to exit EBSCOhost. Anybody have any questions so far with EBSCOhost? It's a pretty straightforward database. All right, so I'm going to close out of this. Another database I want us to take a look at is going to be ProQuest, and I need to add this. I need to add this to your list. It's ProQuest Nursing and Allied Health, and I know this is a clinical laboratory class, but you can find some really good content in this database as well. So let's see, ProQuest is, where's my ProQuest Nursing? There we are. All right, so let's take a look here, and remember to always hit the connect button. So when you use ProQuest, I just want you to see the searching interface is just a tad different. So let's do blood cancer for this one. So I'm going to do blood cancers. I want full text, peer-reviewed, and scholarly because your professors are going to want full text, or they're going to want scholarly peer-reviewed content. And remember, peer-reviewed scholarly content has been vetted to meet academic standards. So for the ProQuest database, as you can see, the interface is a little different. We already did full text and peer-reviewed, but we have, look at all these hits, all right? So we definitely need to shrink this down. So I'm going to just slide this all the way over to 2010 and hit update. And I know it's going to shrink So actually, let's shrink it a little bit more, and I don't want to go far back. I think 2013 will do it. And it shrunk a little bit more. But you get the idea of how you can shrink it. So now let's take a look. This is a little bit different. It's still pretty user-friendly. If you just want to preview the article, you can hit preview, and of course the abstract will pop up, and you know the abstract is a synopsis of what the article is about. So the abstract pops up, and then you can decide whether or not if you want the article. So I'm going to just add a couple of these articles to my folder. And one of the nice things about this database is that you can select the Cite button. Once you hit the Cite button, you get your citations here. And you need to make sure that APA is highlighted because you definitely want APA 6th edition. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of things that you have to pay attention to when it's time for you to do your reference page. So what I'm going to do is just cut and paste. I'm going to take these citations out. I'm going to hit done, and I'm going to put them in a Word document. So let's delete that. Let me change my page layout here because I had it on this. And let's delete that. All right. So I'm going to put my citations here. So that's one group of citations, right? And remember, I got my citations from EBSCO. So I'm going to get a couple of those citations, and I'm going to put them in as well. So for the EBSCO citations, let me show you what that looks like when you double check your email for EBSCO. And I'm trying to get, all right, so here we go. All right, so you see how when you get your citations from EBSCO and most of the databases, here is one of the citations. I'm going to take this and put it in my page. This is the permanent link I was talking about. So this is why it's crucial for you to use your WSSU email. So when you hit this link, it will open. So I'm going to add this citation here. All right, I'm going to add that citation. And I'm going to get another citation, because I want to walk you through a mistake that a lot of students make when it's time for them to do their reference page. And I'm going to put that citation there. All right, so we have these citations, and what I did, I just cut and paste from the databases my citations. So one thing that you have to remember when you're dealing with APA, what are some of the core things that you all remember with APA? Does anyone remember, what things do you remember that you have to have with APA? Anybody want to share? All right, God, you guys are so quiet. All right, so one of the core things you have to remember with APA, and I want to make sure, okay, one of the core things you have to remember with APA, first of all, it has to be Times New Roman. Now, you notice I just cut and paste this directly from the databases. You can look at these. Most of these are not Times New Roman. These two are, but these are not. So let's highlight this. Let's make this Times New Roman 12-point font. It has to be Times New Roman 12-point font. Your page or your paper has to be 1-inch margin, top, bottom, left, right. So these are what I call like the 4 cornerstones of APA citing. Times New Roman font, 12-point, 1-inch margin, top, bottom, left, right. If you used Word, if you used Microsoft, you can just come to the page layout, and most documents are already set on 1-inch margin, top, bottom, left, right. But when you're turning in a research paper, you just want to make sure that is the case. All right, so I am going to highlight that. Now for Mac, I'm not sure where you would go on your Mac, but if you have the Word version for Mac, it would be the same thing. You just want to make sure that the margins are normal, 1-inch, top, bottom, left, right. All right, so we're almost there with our paper. So let's take a look at this. It needs to be Times New Roman 12-point font, and it is. But there's a problem. As you see here, if you take a look, anything with APA, there are no large capitalizations. There are no capitalizations, particularly in the title. There are none. The only capitalizations you'll have if you have an acronym. So keep in mind, the databases don't care about little nitpicky things. They're just going to format it. And I'm looking at the format. The format for this is correct. However, this part is not. There's no need to have all caps. And let's see if I can change this right quick from not being all caps. Let me see if I can do that. And if I can't, I'll just delete it without retyping it. Oh, nope, it doesn't look like I can. So let's try this. Let me just pregnant women benefit. All right, so let's take this out because this is totally wrong. Now, remember, we migrated this from the databases, so that's why you have to double check. I'm just going to do pregnant women and clots. All right, so now we're good to go. One other thing, your references have to be alphabetized. I'm going to double space this part because this is not double space. Remember, for APA, everything is double space. So we're almost there, but I need to move this because this needs to come all the way up here. And let's see if we can get it up here. All right, so we are just about alphabetized. Now, one other thing, we need to move this one. This one needs to come here. Okay, so your references have to be alphabetized. Never juxtapose the names here. Leave them as they are because chances are the first name, these individuals here, these are your primary researchers. That's why their names are first. Okay, so we're just about done. However, we need to have the word reference. And reference needs to be centered. It's not capitalized, it's just centered. So for the most part, we are good to go with our paper. I do want to point out a couple of things. Number one, if you take a look here, here is a DOI. Remember I said the DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier. If an article has a DOI at the end of the citation, leave it. It is part of the citation. And you will notice one good thing that the databases, they do get this right when they export them from the database to your document. There are no periods after the DOI. So if you take a look here, there are no periods. So don't add one. You could lose points off your paper if you decide to add a period to your DOI. In APA's mindset, the DOI is the period. So don't add the period to your DOI. Another thing to remember, all of the databases are not going to have a DOI. So for example, let's take a look at this one. This citation here, all right, the reason why it has retrieved from ProQuest because it doesn't have a DOI, so you need to put retrieved from ProQuest, EBSCO, and if you export it from the databases, it will do this automatically for you. The reason why this article does not have retrieved from ProQuest is because it has a DOI. The purpose of the DOI is that I should be able to cut and paste this little funky number, open another browser. Let me see if I can do that right quick. Open another browser and put that number in, and that article should pop up. And here it is. So that is the purpose of the DOI. So remember that when you're citing, if you pull it from a database, when you pull your articles from a database, if there are no DOIs, you need to have retrieved from and the link. And you can get the perma link from the databases. And if it does have a DOI, replace that with the DOI, just like this. So any questions about that? So you'll notice articles that don't have a DOI, they will have retrieved from XYZ. articles with the DOI, you will not see retrieved from. So keep that in mind. So now I do want to show you what an example of, I want to show you an example of what an APA, a well-written APA paper should look like. So I'm going to come here and under the APA citation tab, we're going to come to an example. And everything that I just reviewed with you is actually an example in this paper. One thing to keep in mind for APA, and this is just a review, remember page numbers, guys, top right. So don't be creative with APA and put it top, bottom, bottom, left, middle. It needs to be top right. You will have to have your running head on every page, and you will have to have the word running head on your first page. The running head is basically a truncated version of your title. And it's truncated because luckily this title is very short. But if it were a longer title, you would have your running head, the whole title on the first page, and then the subsequent pages you would have a truncated version so it wouldn't interfere with the number on the right. And as you can see, for subsequent pages, you don't have the word running head. It is expected that this is the running head, and we know that. But you have to have it on the first page. On the second page, not so much. Subsequent pages, you don't need the running head. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here. I want you to take a look at the references and see this is what the reference page should look like. So you have your title, your number, of course, top right. The word references is centered. And then, as you can see, you have your references. They are alphabetized. And as you can see, everything is double spaced. And of course, you've noticed the references have the second, third, fourth lines have to be in hanging indent. So keep that in mind. And like I said, as you see, everything is double spaced. Now, remember I mentioned earlier that a well-written research paper needs to have in-text citations. So if you just want to see some examples of in-text citations, this paper has a nice bit of examples of in-text citations. So let's take a look at one of them now. So let me find one. All right, so here is an example. And in the research guide, if you come here in the research guide, of course, I do give you examples of your citations with books and journals. One thing to remember when you're doing an in-text citations, when you get to books with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 authors, APA is very particular about how you cite those authors. One thing also to remember, everything that you have in your in-text citation, make sure it's on your references. So you should not have an in-text citation and then you don't have it in your reference list. So let's take a look at a couple of the in-text citations. 1 to 2 authors for an in-text citation, you're always going to list their names. This one has 2, Butler and Kraut, and then the year, last name and the year. Always. That's all you need for the in-text citation, last name and the year. And you can do it in several variations. And I have those examples, like I said, on the research guide. So let's take a look at one other example, because when you get to 3 or more authors, that's when it could get a little tricky. So let me show you what that means. For example, you see how we have here Cummings, Butler, and Kraut. That's 3 authors. 3 to 5 authors in an in-text citation, you list all of their names in the first example of when you're referencing that paper. So you list all their names. So we have Cummings, Butler, and Kraut, 2002. Fine. So I know I'm going to use this resource in subsequent citings. So all I have to do for my next citation, if you look here, the next citation when you have 3 to 5, subsequent citations, you don't list all their names. You only list the last name, which would be Cummings, and then you hit, for the next citations, it's Cummings et al. And then, of course, you have your year. So remember that 3 to 5, you list all of their names in the first citation and the year, but subsequent citations for the in-text citation, you only list the first name Cummings at all. You don't have to list all of the author's name and then the year. And then if you come all the way down to the reference, of course, you have all of their credentials. And remember, APA is always last name, first initial. Last name, first initial. So if we come to example here, I want to briefly show you this because I have come across articles. Oh my God, this article, it had 20 authors. So how in the world do you cite an article or a book where you have 20 or more authors? One thing to remember, and I do have an example here. One thing to remember, once you get past 7 or 8 or more authors, you never ever list all of their names in the in-text citation. You only list the primary researcher, which is that first name. But this is what it looks like in the reference list. So let's say this book, it has here 8 or more authors. So let's say this is the book that had 20 authors. So as you can see for APA, you're only going to list 7 names. That's it. APA only wants 7 names on the reference list. Now we know it has 20, but you're only going to list 7, and this is how that works. As you can see, you list the first 6 names, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the very last name that you're going to list is the very last author for that reference. So this guy here, he's number 20. So he's number 20, he's last. So you have first 6 authors like I have here, last author, surname, initial, second initial, title, book. And then you have an ellipsis, and then you have the very last author. This is author number 20, the last author listed for the citation. So remember, APA is very particular. You could have 100 authors. They only want 7. The first 6, followed by an ellipsis, and then the very last author in that reference. So make sure you take a look at that because I think this would really help you with your citing. And like I said, I have videos if you need to cite a tweet or whatever, and I think this would be very, very beneficial for you. So now we're almost done. I did have one other thing I wanted you to take a look at. Let's see here. If there's anything that you think I may have gone over too fast or you may miss something, no worries. Like I said, this session is being recorded and I will post a recording up so you can take a look at it at a later date. So now before we go, are there any questions, anything that I may have missed or anything that you would like for me to cover since we have a few minutes left? And if you guys respond, you can put it in the chat box for me. So any concerns? Because as you can see, I do have some other medical biochemistry resources here. So make sure you take a look at the research guide because this guide here is designed to help you find resources for your research projects while you matriculate through this program. So while you guys think about that, I want to put in a very quick assessment. And when you get a chance, well, actually, I will email it to you because I have the names. I'll email the assessment to you. So if there are no questions, this pretty much concludes the session. I just wanted you to see what resources you have available to you and just explain a couple of things to you. Remember, please never ever buy an article. If you come across an article and you can't find the full text, please make sure you email me the APA citation or definitely send me the DOI along with the authors and all the other pertinent information so I can get it for you. Normally it takes me about 24 hours, and if I can't get it, I will go through interlibrary loan and have them get it as well. Also, remember to try to use Google Drive. I really think that that sharing tool will help you. It's an excellent collaborative tool to help you when you have to work on those research projects. That way you don't have to physically meet virtually like, we kind of just did, meet virtually and put your content in Google Drive. And then once you're done, have someone finalize it, pop it in Microsoft Word or upload it to Microsoft Word and then take it from there. So any other questions? All right, guys, so that's all I have. I hope you thought this was helpful and that you can use some of these tips. And if you have any questions, just make sure you email me.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
All right, guys, you're welcome. So email me if you need help with anything.
Okay.
All right, guys, good night.
Good night.